With me now is Foster Freeze. He's the founder of Freeze Associates and a supporter of Christian causes. Welcome back.
Carol, it's always a delight to be with you. Thanks for having me.
It's always great to have you here. You are a Christian and you're also a Trump supporter. What do you say to people who are conflicted about Donald Trump?
Well, I don't think they should be conflicted if they really are embracing their Christian values. One of the greatest gifts Jesus gave us was forgiveness. And I think it's a lot of Christians are very turned off by the fact that Hillary Clinton is complaining about the terrible image that this video presents to America. She's the one who pulled the video up. And she's spending millions of dollars to show it again and again and again and again.
You mean the Access Hollywood video?
Yeah. If that isn't the ultimate
pulled the video
hypocrisy.
up, not Hillary Clinton.
Well, anyway, she's running a lot of money to show it again and again. So, but I think the important thing is the women that I know,
but
they look
Donald
at this
Trump,
as...
Well, wait a minute, Foster, because I just want to ask you about this. Shouldn't Donald Trump be held accountable for what he said on that Access Hollywood tape when he was joking around with Billy Bush?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely, he's not to be defended, and I'm not certainly going to excuse him. But the whole idea of forgiveness is kind of core to their whole Christian belief system. And I think that's why Christians are excited about. He came up and said, you know, in the heat of the campaign, I've said things I shouldn't, and I really regret it. And I particularly regret it has caused personal pains. He's apologized for it. And if we don't forgive him, what value is our Christian faith if we don't forgive someone who is seeking to move forward? And I think the women that I talk to are more concerned about their health care for their kids. I was just in London, Carol, and you cannot believe the tragedy that the national health care system is having over there. I just read they have 10,000 people who had to wait 6 weeks for diagnostic tests. They had 29,000 people who had to wait 4 hours in a journey when they cooked to the emergency room. And I believe that's what we have to think about as the policies, because all this news, that will be old news in about 6 months. Going back for this tape for
just a second, because one state, one religious state, that Access Hollywood tape really does bother them, and that would be Utah. In fact, the third-party candidate is doing very well there. So it does matter in Utah. So what do you say to people in Utah who can't vote for Donald Trump because of the things that he himself has said?
Well, I think they should go back to the Bible and read how Saul of Tarsus was cutting off people's heads and then became the greatest salesman for Jesus, all the nice things he wanted to do. He probably won all the awards to incentive words to Hawaii. And I think you can look at David, who was another guy who was sent Bathsheba's husband off to war, hoping that he'd be killed. And yet he became a great fan of God. So I think the whole message of Christianity here is evidence in Donald Trump's progress. Where you look at where he was 10 years ago and where he is today, we have to be excited about that. And the whole Christian message is when a guy screws up, you don't put your foot on his throat and throw him on the human junk pile. Give him a hand down and help him get out of the pit he dug for himself. That's what Christianity is all about. And that's why
some young Christians also have a problem with Donald Trump. And I'm specifically talking about students at Liberty University. Liberty University's president, Jerry Falwell Jr., came out in support of Donald Trump. And he talked about that on Aaron Burnett's show. And then a group of Christian students who attend Liberty University wrote this, and I'm going to read it to you. As Liberty students, we watched as the leader of our school loudly and proudly advocated for a man many of us felt compelled to oppose. Trump's flagrant dishonesty, consistent misogyny, and boastful unrepentance made many of us feel the need to publicly express disagreement with President Falwell's endorsement. So these students say that Donald Trump hasn't apologized strongly enough, and that's why they can't forgive him, because he's not sorry, really sorry about any of these things.
Well, Carol, I think these are young kids, and wisdom doesn't come. Wisdom will come to these kids. I have a friend who's
these are voters.
I know, but. Right, but I have a friend who's the sixth of 6 boys. He's the youngest of 6 boys, and he says, until 2 of my brothers went off to college, I didn't even know chickens had another part other than a neck. So you have to give these young people a little time to mature in the Christian faith, to know about forgiveness. And look what Donald Trump has achieved in terms of all the women he hires. There's no company I think you can find that hires more women at higher levels. And then look at the contrast in terms of his
business records, so you're able to determine that?
Yeah, well, look, I spent time with Donald Trump Jr. and with Eric and Eric's wife, Laura. These are the most beautiful, wonderful people that you'd want to have as relatives or neighbors. And I think to see you judge the fruit sometimes by looking at the tree. And Donald Trump did something right when you look at how his kids are such wonderful people that would serve our country well. And I believe that's what we have to look at. Look, let's think of the issue of the global jihad movement. People are having their heads cut off. People are being dumped into cages and drowned to death. And Hillary Clinton in the debate says,
I am glad you brought that up, because we have yet to hear Donald Trump's plan for defeating ISIS. Do you know what it is?
Well, I wonder, did anybody know what MacArthur's plan was to go into Incheon? Did Eisenhower put on a press release? I think we're going to hit Normandy at 4 o'clock and such. Of course,
so it's okay for Donald Trump to keep his plan secret, all secret? No divulgence of anything? No part of the plan?
I mean, but look at what Hillary Clinton said. Hillary Clinton said, I'm for arming the Kurds, and I'm for a no-fly zone. She's in power. Why don't we have a no-fly zone? Why don't we have the arms Kurds? I went to Camp Black Tiger.
She's not in charge of how the military. She's not, as Secretary of State. President Obama has the ultimate decision in that.
Okay. I have a little point to disagree slightly. I sat to the guy named Brett McGurk, who's responsible for the Iraq policy in the State Department. It was a small meeting with the ambassador to Iraq from America and with President Barzani. And basically he said, we have to be careful about arming the Kurds. Our State Department policy is we have to be careful not to give them too much aggressive firepower for they'll secede. And our friends in Baghdad, the Shiites in control, would be very unhappy with us. So it's clearly a State Department policy.
But is Donald Trump against arming the Kurds then? Do you know?
No, no, my heavens, he knows they should be our surrogate boots on the ground. I've been trying to champion for 3 years. When I went to Camp Black Tiger, which is a Peshmerga camp on the ISIS front lines, they told me the simplest thing. They don't have night goggles, and the bad guys are throwing grenades in the bunkers at night, and they can't see them coming. They push ISIS out in an area. They don't have the technology to debug the booby traps that ISIS sets up. So right now, I heard yesterday from my contacts there that the coalition is doing much better and they're providing much better arms, but they still have so many things that we could provide them. I asked Ed Royce, who's in a position to provide a field hospital. They don't even have a field hospital. They have to take their people way into Erbil or whatever. So I think our treatment of the Kurds has not been approved. But the most important thing, Carol, is the point that Hillary Clinton said she's for arming the Kurds. I talked to Van Jones, Geraldo Rivera. They're all in favor of arming the Kurds.
But at least
well,
you
why
know part of her plan. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that I think that many voters want to know how exactly Donald Trump is going to defeat ISIS, and he has yet to tell us. But I have to leave it there. And I do appreciate your being on my show. I do appreciate it, Foster Friess. Thank you so much.